Dramily.com, unlimited drama series.
The moment I told my husband to wait in the car like some embarrassing relative, I should have known I'd crossed a line I could never uncross. But standing outside TechFlow Solutions that humid Tuesday evening, watching Damian Wrist adjust his tie and flash that $1 million smile at our company's product launch party, all I could think about was how Owen's presence would ruin everything. "Lyrian, you look absolutely stunning tonight," Damian said, his eyes lingering on my new black dress. At 41, he had that silver fox appeal that made every woman in the office weak in the knees. As my direct supervisor and the company's rising star, his approval meant everything to my career trajectory. Owen cleared his throat beside me, extending his hand. "I'm Owen Moreland, Lyrian's husband. We haven't officially met." The handshake was brief, almost dismissive. Damian's attention immediately returned to me. "Ready to celebrate? The investors are already inside, and they're asking about you specifically." My heart raced. This was my moment. The culmination of 6 months of 14-hour days, weekend presentations, and strategic networking. Owen's awkward teacher energy would only diminish my professional image. "Actually," I said, touching Owen's arm, with what I hoped looked like affection, "maybe you should wait in the car. Damian mentioned some of the team feel uncomfortable around outsiders tonight. It's nothing personal." Owen's face went blank. After 12 years of marriage, I knew that expression meant trouble, but I was too intoxicated by Damian's proximity to care. "Uncomfortable?" Owen's voice was dangerously quiet. "Your coworkers are uncomfortable around your husband?" "It's just business, honey. You wouldn't understand the dynamics here." I was already moving toward the entrance, my heels clicking confidently on the pavement. "I'll text you when I'm ready to leave." "Lyrian," Owen's teacher voice, and the one he used with unruly students, stopped me cold. "I drove you here. I took time off work. I bought you those earrings you're wearing specifically for tonight." Damian shifted uncomfortably, but his eyes held a glint of amusement that made my stomach flutter. Here was a powerful man watching me handle a domestic situation with authority. It felt intoxicating. And I appreciate that, I really do. But this is important for my career, for our future. I softened my voice, playing the part of the patient wife, explaining reality to her naive husband. "Sometimes we have to make sacrifices." "Right." Owen's keys jingled as he pulled them from his pocket. "Sacrifices." I barely registered the hurt in his voice as Damian placed his hand on the small of my back, guiding me toward the glass doors of the building. The warmth of his touch sent electricity through my entire body. "Don't wait up," I called over my shoulder, already lost in the fantasy of impressing investors and climbing corporate ladders. The party was everything I'd dreamed. Damian introduced me to venture capitalists, praised my quarterly numbers, and kept my wine glass perpetually full. When he suggested we step onto the rooftop terrace for better lighting for photos, I followed without hesitation. "You handled that well," he murmured, his breath warm against my ear as he positioned me for a selfie. "Some men can't handle ambitious women." The camera flash illuminated our faces as he leaned closer, his arm tightening around my waist. In that moment, I felt powerful, desired, successful. Everything I'd been chasing since joining TechFlow. "Post it," he whispered. "Show the world what success looks like." My fingers flew across my phone screen, adding filters and crafting the perfect caption. "Celebrating another milestone with the best team in tech. Hashtag blessed, hashtag career goals, hashtag TechFlow, hashtag success." The likes started immediately. Marina Vale, my closest friend, was among the first to comment, "Gorgeous. Some people just can't handle a strong woman." I basked in the digital validation, the professional networking, the feeling of being exactly where I belonged. It wasn't until nearly midnight that I remembered Owen waiting in the parking lot. But when I finally stumbled outside, heels in hand and head spinning from wine and triumph, the parking spot was empty. My phone showed 3 missed calls from Owen and one text, "Took an Uber home. We need to talk." I shrugged, calling my own ride. He'd get over it. He always did. The next morning arrived with a hangover and the intoxicating buzz of social media notifications. My post from the party had gone viral within our professional network. 847 likes, 156 comments, and counting. Damien had shared it to his own profile with the caption, "Proud to work with such dedicated talent." I scrolled through the responses while brewing coffee in our small kitchen, savoring each compliment and career opportunity that seemed to materialize in the comments section. 3 recruiters had already slid into my DMs. "Good morning," Owen said quietly, appearing in the doorway fully dressed for work. His usual warmth was replaced by something I couldn't quite identify. Disappointment? Resignation? "Morning, honey." I didn't look up from my phone. "You should see this. The post from last night has over 800 likes. Jennifer Morrison from TechCrunch wants to interview me about women in sales leadership." Owen poured coffee into his travel mug with mechanical precision. "We need to discuss what happened yesterday." "What about it?" I finally glanced up, noting his pressed khakis and button-down shirt. So predictably boring compared to Damien's tailored suits. "The party was amazing. I think I'm finally getting the recognition I deserve." "You told me to wait in the car, Lyrian, like a child or a pet." His voice remained level, controlled. "In front of your boss. Because your coworkers were uncomfortable with your husband's presence." I sighed, setting down my phone with exaggerated patience. "Owen, you have to understand the corporate world. It's not like teaching high school where everyone knows everyone. There are politics, hierarchies, unspoken rules, such as wives publicly humiliating their husbands. Don't be dramatic." I stood, smoothing my pencil skirt. I was protecting both of us from an awkward situation. Damien specifically mentioned that some team members prefer these events to be streamlined. Damien said that? Owen's eyebrow raised, his tell for when he knew someone was lying. Not in those exact words, but it was implied. The lie came easily, wrapped in just enough truth to feel justified. "Look, I know it stung, but this is bigger than one evening. This is about our future, our financial security, Eva's college fund." Owen stared at me for a long moment, then picked up his keys. "I'll be working late tonight. Faculty meeting. On a Wednesday? Budget planning session. Don't wait up." After he left, I called Marina while getting ready for work. "Girl, I saw the photos. You look absolutely radiant," she gushed. "And that boss of yours is fine as hell. It was such an incredible night. I think I'm really making an impression on the leadership team. Good for you. And honestly, Owen needs to learn to support your success instead of dragging you down with his insecurities." I paused, mascara wand halfway to my lashes. "What do you mean? Come on, Lyrian. Making you feel guilty for networking? Sulking when you prioritize your career? Classic controlling behavior. My ex-husband pulled the same crap. The validation felt like a warm embrace. I never thought about it that way. Men like that want to keep us small, manageable. Don't let him dim your shine." At work, the attention was intoxicating. Colleagues who'd barely acknowledged me before stopped by my cubicle to chat about the party. Damien sent me a private message. "Hope you recovered from last night. Coffee later to discuss the Morrison opportunity?" I spent my lunch break crafting the perfect response, then immediately screenshotted it to send to Marina. That evening, Owen came home after 9, carrying a stack of papers and his laptop bag. He moved through our apartment with quiet efficiency, organizing documents at the kitchen table. "How was the budget meeting?" I asked, not really listening as I scrolled through more comments on my viral post. "Productive." He opened his planner, that obsessively neat calendar he'd kept since college, and made several notations. "How was your coffee with Damien?" I looked up sharply. "How did you know about that?" "You posted about it." "Strategic planning with leadership. Hashtag grateful, hashtag career growth." He didn't sound accusatory, just tired. "Eva called. She wants to know if we can..." take her to the Science Museum this weekend? Oh, I'd completely forgotten about our 7-year-old daughter's request. This weekend might be tricky. Damien mentioned a possible client dinner Saturday. Owen made another note in his planner. I'll take her myself then. You don't have to be passive-aggressive about it. I'm not being anything, Lyrian. I'm adapting to our new reality. Something in his tone made me defensive. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm learning to adjust my expectations. He closed the planner and gathered his papers. I'm sleeping in the guest room tonight. I have early meetings all week. After he left, I found myself staring at his abandoned coffee mug, feeling strangely unsettled. But then, my phone buzzed with another notification, a LinkedIn connection request from a senior VP at a Fortune 500 company. And the feeling passed. Success required sacrifices. Owen would understand eventually. Friday's rooftop party was supposed to be a casual team celebration, but I treated it like a red carpet event. The new emerald dress hugged every curve, and I'd spent an hour perfecting my makeup. Damien had specifically requested I attend, mentioning that several clients would be there. You look incredible tonight, he murmured as I joined him near the bar. The downtown skyline glittered behind us, and soft jazz played from hidden speakers. Green is definitely your color. Thank you. I accepted the champagne he offered, hyper-aware of how perfectly we looked together. Several coworkers had already complimented us as a power duo. I have news, Damien said, leaning closer. The Morrison interview went so well, she wants to feature you in a cover story about emerging female leaders in tech sales. My heart nearly stopped. Are you serious? Completely. She specifically mentioned your authentic confidence and natural leadership presence. His hand found mine, fingers intertwining. This could change everything for you, Lyrian. National exposure, speaking opportunities, executive headhunter attention. The champagne tasted like liquid gold. Everything I'd worked for, sacrificed for, was finally materializing. We should celebrate, Damien said, his thumb tracing circles on my palm. Properly. Before I could respond, he leaned in and kissed me. Not a friendly peck or accidental brush of lips. A real, intentional, possessive kiss that lasted several heartbeats and sent shockwaves through my entire body. When we broke apart, half the party was watching. Nate Soren had his phone out, clearly recording. Someone whistled. Marina, who'd arrived an hour earlier, raised her glass in approval. That's what success looks like, she called out, and others joined in with cheers and applause. I should have felt embarrassed, guilty, concerned about the implications. Instead, I felt powerful, desired, worthy of a man like Damien Rist. Post it, I whispered, echoing his words from the previous week. Show them what ambition gets you. Damien grinned and pulled out his phone, snapping a selfie of us with our arms round each other, my lipstick slightly smudged, his tie askew. Two professionals celebrating success, he typed. Sometimes the best partnerships extend beyond the conference room. Hashtag TechFlow, hashtag success, hashtag power couple. The post went live immediately. Within minutes, it had dozens of likes and comments, ranging from supportive to suggestive to downright inappropriate. I was so caught up in the digital euphoria that I didn't notice Owen until he was standing directly in front of us. He looked completely out of place in his simple button-down and khakis, surrounded by designer dresses and expensive suits. His face was unreadable, but his eyes held something I'd never seen before. Not anger or jealousy, but a cold, calculating assessment. Hello, Lyrian. His voice cut through the party chatter like a blade. Damien. Owen. I tried to inject enthusiasm into my voice, but it came out shrill and false. What are you doing here? I thought you were grading papers tonight. Finished early. Thought I'd surprise you? He glanced at Damien's hand, still resting possessively on my lower back. I can see you're busy. The surrounding conversations had died down. Our coworkers sensed drama and were positioning themselves for a better view. We were just celebrating Lyrian's upcoming magazine feature, Damien said smoothly, his hand not moving. She's going to be on the cover of TechCrunch. Quite an honor. Congratulations. Owen's gaze never left my face. I'm sure our daughter will be proud to see Mommy on magazine covers. The mention of Eva sent a spike of guilt through my champagne-induced confidence, but I pushed it down. Owen, you're being inappropriate. This is a work function. Right, work. He pulled out his phone and held it up. Smile. The camera flash was blinding. When my vision cleared, Owen was already walking away, moving through the crowd with purpose. Wait, I called after him, but he didn't turn around. Let him go, Damien murmured in my ear. Some people can't handle success. But something in Owen's posture, the deliberate way he'd taken that photo, left me feeling exposed and vulnerable despite the warm night air. Marina appeared at my elbow, slightly drunk and completely supportive. Honey, you dodged a bullet. He's clearly trying to sabotage your moment. He's just adjusting to my success, I said, but the words felt hollow. Men like that want to keep us small, she continued, echoing our earlier conversation. Don't let his insecurities dim your light. The party continued around us, but some of the magic had evaporated. When I finally got home at nearly 2 a.m., Owen's car was in the driveway, but the house was dark. I found him in the guest room, sitting at the small desk with his
A couple's spa. You took her to the place we go. It was a birthday gift. She's a friend. Friends don't get $500 couples massage.
Watch more on Grammarly.com.
laptop open and papers spread around him. Owen, what are you doing? He looked up briefly, then returned to his work, organizing some files, budget planning for next semester. At 2 in the morning? Couldn't sleep. His fingers moved efficiently across the keyboard. How was the rest of your celebration? I wanted to explain, to justify, to make him understand that the kiss meant nothing, that it was just professional networking, taken slightly too far. But the words wouldn't come. It's not what you think, I finally managed. What do I think, Lyrian? The question hung in the air between us, loaded with implications I wasn't ready to face. I don't know, I whispered. Owen saved his document and closed the laptop. Neither do I anymore. The viral video of Damien kissing me had spread beyond our professional network by Monday morning. Nate had posted it to TikTok with the caption, "When your boss appreciates your hard work, hashtag office romance, hashtag power moves, hashtag tech life." And it had garnered over 50,000 views. I discovered this while sitting in my mother's kitchen, supposedly planning Eva's 8th birthday party, but actually obsessing over my phone notifications. Lyrian, are you listening? Helen, my mother, set down her coffee cup with enough force to rattle the saucer. I asked about the guest list 3 times. Sorry, Mom, work stuff. I showed her my phone screen. Look at this. The video has been shared by industry leaders, recruiters, even some celebrity accounts. My LinkedIn connections have doubled overnight. My mother studied the video with the expression she usually reserved for expired milk. Honey, that's your boss kissing you at a work party while you're married. It's not like that. It was just celebration, professional excitement. People are reading way too much into it. Are they? She scrolled through the comments, her frown deepening. These responses are explicit. Before I could defend myself, Eva bounded into the kitchen, her arms full of crayons and construction paper. Grandma, look what I made for Daddy. She spread a drawing across the table, a family portrait that made my stomach clench. The figures representing me and Eva stood close together, but Owen was drawn far to the side, barely connected to the rest of us by a thin line. That's beautiful, sweetheart, my mother said gently. Why is Daddy so far away? Eva shrugged, already reaching for new colors. He's always working now, and Mommy says he's being moody. I felt heat rise in my cheeks. I never said that. You told Aunt Marina on the phone. I heard you. My mother's disapproving look intensified. Lyrian, perhaps you should consider how your professional celebrations are affecting your family. My career is important for our family's future, I snapped. Someone has to think beyond the immediate moment. And Owen doesn't? Owen teaches high school history. He's content with mediocrity, with our tiny apartment and our 15-year-old car. I want more for Eva, for all of us. My mother sighed, the sound heavy with disappointment. I want success for you too, honey, but not at the expense of your marriage and your daughter's security. Before I could respond, my phone rang. Marina's name flashed on the screen and I answered gratefully. Girl, have you seen the comments on the TikTok? You're famous. 3 different recruitment agencies have reached out to me asking for your contact information. I stepped into the hallway, lowering my voice. Really? What kind of positions? Executive level stuff. 6-figure starting salaries. One company specifically mentioned they loved your bold confidence and modern approach to professional networking. See, I said, glancing back at my mother and daughter. This is exactly what I was talking about. Sometimes you have to take risks to achieve real success. Absolutely. And honestly, Owen's reaction just proves he's not the right partner for this phase of your life. Successful women need supportive men, not jealous anchors. That evening, I tried to share my excitement with Owen over dinner. Eva had insisted on McDonald's for her birthday planning celebration. So we sat in the bright plastic booth while she played with her Happy Meal toy. 3 different executive recruiters contacted me today, I said, picking at my salad. The viral video is opening doors I never imagined. Owen methodically unwrapped his burger. Congratulations. That's it? Just congratulations? What would you like me to say, Lyrian? I don't know. Maybe show some enthusiasm? Ask about the opportunities? Act like my success matters to you? Eva looked up from her toy, sensing tension. Why are you talking in your angry voices? We're not angry, sweetheart, Owen said softly. Mommy's just excited about work. Are you proud of Mommy, Daddy? The question hung in the air like a challenge. Owen's eyes met mine across the table, and I saw something that looked like grief. I'm proud of your mother's professional achievements, he said carefully. She's very good at her job. It wasn't the enthusiastic support I craved, but Eva seemed satisfied. She returned to her toy while I stewed in frustration. Later that night, after putting Eva to bed, I found Owen in the guest room again, surrounded by manila folders and legal-looking documents. What is all this? I asked, noting labels like household expenses and Eva's schedule, written in his precise handwriting. Just organizing our finances, making sure everything is documented properly. Why? He looked up from a folder marked Insurance Policies and gave me that same grief-stricken expression. Because documentation matters, Lyrian. When things change, it's important to have clear records. What's changing? I don't know yet, but I'm learning to prepare for possibilities I never considered before. The cryptic response left me unsettled, but my phone buzzed with another LinkedIn notification, and I was quickly distracted by a message from a Fortune 500 headhunter. Owen's obsessive organization could wait. My future was calling. The week following Eva's birthday party passed in a strange, suspended quiet. Owen maintained his new routine of early departures and late arrivals, treating our shared spaces like a hotel he was temporarily occupying. He spoke to Eva with his usual warmth, but addressed me only when necessary and with the polite distance of a professional acquaintance. I told myself I was too busy to care. The TechCrunch interview had led to a podcast appearance, which sparked interest from a business conference, wanting me as a keynote speaker. Damien and I had been working closely on my presentation, spending long hours in his office crafting the perfect narrative of female empowerment and professional ambition. You're becoming a brand, he said Thursday evening as we reviewed slides in his corner office. The rest of the building was empty, creating an intimate atmosphere, enhanced by the soft desk lamp and city lights beyond the windows. Lyrian Moreland, the woman who refused to be diminished by small thinking. I liked the sound of that. I leaned closer to read his notes, acutely aware of his cologne and the warmth radiating from his body. What about this slide on work-life balance? Honestly, I think you should remove it. Work-life balance is a myth created by people who aren't serious about success. You're living proof that ambitious women can have it all if they're willing to prioritize properly. His hand covered mine on the laptop trackpad, and electricity shot through my entire nervous system. Damien? You're extraordinary, Lyrian. Your husband should be celebrating your evolution, not sulking like a child who's lost his favorite toy. The kiss was inevitable, deeper and more passionate than the public display at the rooftop party. When we broke apart, my heart was racing and my professional boundaries had completely dissolved. The investor dinner is tomorrow night, he murmured against my ear, This presentation will change everything for you. For us. I floated home on a cloud of possibility, barely noticing Owen's car missing from the driveway or the kitchen light burning bright at nearly midnight. Friday morning brought a flurry of preparation. I'd bought a new dress specifically for the investor dinner. A stunning red number that cost more than Owen made in a week, but would position me perfectly among the city's business elite. Owen emerged from the guest room as I was applying final touches to my makeup, looking unusually formal in a pressed suit I didn't recognize. "You look nice," I said, surprised. "Job interview?" Something like that. He adjusted his tie with the same precision he brought to everything else. "Ava's staying at my mother's tonight. I've already packed her overnight bag." "Oh, okay." I hadn't realized he'd made those arrangements, but I was grateful not to worry about childcare during such an important evening. The investor dinner might run late. I'm sure it will. He picked up a manila envelope from the kitchen counter, thick with documents. "Lyrian? Yes? I want you to know that I never wanted things to end this way." Something in his tone made me turn from the mirror. "End what way?" "Owen, you're being dramatic again." "Am I?" He studied my face with that same grief-stricken expression I'd been seeing all week. I suppose we'll find out. Before I could ask what he meant, he was gone, leaving only the faint scent of his aftershave and a strange sense of foreboding that I quickly pushed aside. The investor dinner was being held at the Meridian Hotel's rooftop ballroom, a glittering showcase of the city's most successful professionals. I'd dreamed of belonging in rooms like this since college, and now I was not only present but being introduced as a featured speaker. "Ladies and gentlemen," the event coordinator announced, "please welcome TechFlow's rising star and tonight's keynote speaker on women's leadership and sales innovation, Lyrian Moreland." The applause was intoxicating. I took the stage feeling like I was exactly where I belonged, finally receiving the recognition I'd worked so hard to achieve. My presentation went flawlessly. The audience was engaged. Several venture capitalists approached me afterward with business cards, and Damien looked at me with undisguised pride and desire. "You were magnificent," he said, his arm sliding around my waist, as we posed for photos with the event sponsors. "This is just the beginning for you." I was basking in the afterglow, champagne glass in hand and surrounded by admirers, when I noticed a familiar figure near the ballroom entrance. Owen stood by the registration table, still in his formal suit, but somehow looking completely out of place among the designer gowns and expensive jewelry. He was speaking quietly with a woman I didn't recognize, professional looking, carrying a leather briefcase. "Excuse me," I said to the group of investors surrounding me, and made my way across the room. But as I approached, the woman handed Owen something, an envelope, thick and official looking. He signed a document on her clipboard, shook her hand professionally, and turned to face me. "Lyrian." His voice was calm, almost gentle. "Congratulations on your speech. It was very illuminating." "What are you doing here?" "Who was that woman?" "A process server." He held out the envelope. "This is for you." My hands shook as I opened it, the legal terminology swimming before my eyes. Petition for dissolution of marriage, custody agreement, asset division. Owen Moreland versus Lyrian Moreland. You're divorcing me? Here? Now?" "I'm filing for divorce, yes." The timing seemed appropriate, given the venue. His eyes swept the glittering ballroom, the networking professionals, the world I'd chosen over our marriage. "You've made it very clear what you prioritize." The envelope contained more than legal documents. There were printed screenshots of my social media posts, time-stamped photos from work events, copies of text messages between me and Marina discussing Owen's jealousy and controlling behavior. "You've been documenting everything," I whispered, the reality of his methodical preparation finally hitting me. "I have. Along with evidence of your relationship with Damien, your public statements about our marriage, and a detailed record of your choices regarding Eva's care and our family responsibilities." I looked around desperately, realizing that other guests were beginning to notice our conversation. Damien was making his way over, his expression shifting from concern to alarm as he recognized the legal documents in my hands. "Owen, please, we can work this out. I know I've made mistakes, but..." "No, Lyrian, we can't." His voice remained steady. but I caught a glimpse of the pain beneath his controlled exterior. You didn't make mistakes. You made choices, consistently, publicly, and without regard for your family. Lyrian? Damien appeared at my elbow, his earlier confidence replaced by obvious discomfort. Is everything all right? Owen turned his attention to my boss, and for the first time that evening, I saw a flash of something dangerous in his eyes. Mr. Wrist, I believe you'll find the custody arrangement quite reasonable. Eva will spend weekdays with me and alternating weekends with her mother, assuming Lyrian's professional obligations allow for it. The words hit like physical blows. Owen had not only planned this moment, but had structured it to cause maximum impact. Around us, conversations were dying as people sensed the drama unfolding. The papers detail everything, he continued, addressing me again. Asset division, custody schedule, and documentation of the circumstances leading to this decision. Your social media posts were particularly helpful in establishing the timeline. I stared at him. This man I'd been married to for 12 years and realized I was looking at a stranger. The quiet, supportive teacher had been replaced by someone calculating, prepared, and absolutely done with being humiliated. Oh, and Goodbye, Lyrian. Enjoy your success. He walked away without looking back, leaving me standing in the middle of the ballroom with legal papers in my hands and the attention of every influential person in the city, focused on my very public downfall. Damien took a step back, his face pale. Lyrian, I think I should go. This is a family matter, and I don't want to complicate things for you professionally. And just like that, he was gone too, leaving me alone with my success, my ambition, and the devastating realization that I'd lost everything that actually mattered while chasing everything that didn't. The ballroom continued to buzz around me, but I was no longer part of it. I was just a woman holding divorce papers, watching her carefully constructed life crumble in real time.